What's up? It's Eden, and this is what I read this week. Hey everybody, it's Eden, and today I'm going to share my thoughts about the book Make Time: How to Focus on What Matters Every Day by Knapp and John Zeratsky. In one sentence, this book provides practical advice on how to make time for the things that truly matter to us. Now, Knapp and Zeratsky know that there's no one tactic to rule them all. That's why they've written 87 tactics that you can test out and see what works for you. Now, the book opens with an encouragement to ponder the question, why are we so busy? And how is it that we're always busy and yet somehow our schedule gets busier and busier? And their answer is that our time competes with two powerful forces: the busy bandwagon and infinity pools. Busy bandwagon is our culture of constant productivity that guilt trips us for any minute that we're not productive. Now, with this mindset, we cannot slow down if we want to meet the demands of modern society. Now, infinity pools are apps or resources that have an infinite supply of distractions. Basically, any app that you can pull to refresh or that streams content is an infinity pool. And the fact is that we don't actually have to be constantly busy, and the distractions we get from the apps that we're using is not a distraction that is rewarding or giving us any energy. Now, the book is not claimed to be a productivity book, but to provide a framework in which we can apply the tactics from the book. The framework is divided into 4 parts, and each part stands for a step in the framework they've designed to create more time for things we care about. So you start with highlight, then you go to laser and energize, and then reflect. Each step receives many tactics that you can choose from and that will help you accomplishing this step. So the first step in this framework is the highlight. And the highlight is a single activity to prioritize and protect in your calendar. Now, to find your highlight, they give you 3 strategies. Find the one activity on your agenda for the day that is either urgent, brings you satisfaction, or adds joy. The tactics that I chose from this part and I'm implementing them on my highlight are: write it down, which is pretty straightforward; schedule your highlight, straightforward again; just say no, which is something I'm really struggling with. And it's not only to say no to social gatherings and events and stuff like that, but it's also to say no to projects that you don't have time to work on them at the moment, and you can just tell yourself, well, that's not for now. And the last one is become a morning person. I'm not a morning person at all. I never was, but I'm learning to be right now, because unfortunately we live in a society that you sort of need to be up and running in the morning. So I found ways to make my mornings exciting for me and something that I'm looking forward to and actually excited to wake up in the morning, as in the past I was just very dreaded by the thought of waking up early. The second step in this framework is laser. And that means that once your time for your highlight arrives, you need to be in laser mode. And that means to be super focused on your highlight. Now, this is a crucial stage where your highlight needs to be protected. So you need to create what they call barriers to distraction. Now, they remind us here that product designers have spent decades removing barriers and making the products we use as accessible as possible, and making sure that we'll use the product for as many hours as possible. And that is one of the reasons we need to reclaim these barriers and bring them back. The tactics that I like from this part are: try a distraction-free phone, and that means to remove all the infinity pools, and I'm loving it so far. Skip the morning check-in, and that means not to check your phone first thing in the morning, not to check your WhatsApp or email, and to stretch this time for as long as you can. Shut the door. For me, this is crucial because I'm working from home, James works from home, and we're both here together. He's doing lots of phone calls as well, and I always think that it doesn't bother my concentration, but as soon as I started to shut the door, put my earphones on, I noticed a big difference. Invent a deadline. Now if you follow me for a while, you know that I'm always inventing deadlines. I feel like this is really a really helpful tactic. Explode your highlight. I really love this one. I love this image of exploding my highlight, and what it means, pretty straightforward, that when you explode your highlight, you have all these tiny pieces and tiny stages that you need to do that will prompt you to act. And even if you don't do the whole thing that you planned that day, at least you did some of it. Set a visible timer. I love working with a watch, and I'm using it for anything. If I'm cleaning the house, if I'm working on something, if I'm even on my fun times when I'm drawing or playing the piano, I love putting a timer. It's just gets me in the mood very, very quickly. So even if I'm not feeling like it and I don't want to and I feel like procrastination, as soon as the timer is up, I'm in the zone. I feel like I get much more when I'm using handwriting. Of course, we have all these apps on our computers and phones, but for me, nothing beats the old system of pen and paper. I love using handwriting for almost everything, for journaling, for taking notes, and for planning as well. I still use lots of different apps on my computer and on my phone, but nothing beats pen and paper for me. So to start on paper, it's exactly where I start. I really love this tactic because I get stuck quite a lot, and I notice that every time I get stuck, something good comes out of it. When I reflect back on these moments, I always feel that after I've been stuck for a while, that's what moved me forward. And then when I read this tactic, I was like, yeah, spot on, exactly. And I don't need to feel intimidated by being stuck. That's okay. That's actually, sometimes that's exactly what we need to move forward. In the energize part, they discuss the significance of taking breaks that truly recharge our energies. Now, instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media, they suggest engaging in activities that bring joy and can refresh our mind. And they call energize the secret sauce that makes this framework work. Their view on it is that when you have full energy, it's easier to maintain focus and avoid distractions. And they say if you want more energy for your brain, you need to take care of your body. The tactics that I chose here are exercise every day, but don't be a hero. Central park your plate. That is to put veggies on your plate first. Wake up before you caffeinate. Get woodsy, and that means to go outside. Trick yourself into meditating. Take real breaks. And lastly, put on your own oxygen mask first. And that basically means everything together. To prioritize your sleep, to eat well, to exercise, and to take care of yourself. Because if you care for others and you don't take care of yourself, you'll eventually end up not being able to care for them, if that makes sense. The last step of this framework is reflect. And this step is treated as a scientific research, where you first observe what's going on, and then you make a knowledgeable guess as to why things are happening this way. Then you make an experiment to test your hypothesis, and the findings are where you measure the results and decide whether your hypothesis was correct or not. Now, what the authors advocate here is a regular reflection of how we're spending our time. By evaluating our daily and weekly routines, we can make adjustments to ensure that we're consistently investing our time in activities that align with our values. So once you set your highlight hypothesis and you have a single intention to focus on, and you create barriers for distractions, and you incorporate a lifestyle that brings you joy and energy, the prediction is that you'll succeed in making time for what matters to you. But you first need to try the different tactics, experiment with them, collect the data, and then decide which one works best for you. So if you're intrigued by the idea of reclaiming your time and focusing on what truly matters, then this book is worth a read. Now, if you're already well versed in time management strategies, some concepts might feel familiar, However, the strength of this book lies in its practicality and the way it synthesizes these ideas and strategies into a cohesive framework. If you've already read it, let me know your thoughts on it, and thank you so much for watching and for stopping by. And until next time, make time for what matters. See you next week. Bye.